Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into a story that has been making waves across the world. China's navy, which has been rapidly expanding and modernizing, might not be as invincible as it seems. For years we have seen Beijing pour billions into its naval forces, commissioning warships at record speed, boasting massive aircraft carriers, and claiming to rival the power of the United States Navy. But recently, a seemingly small and unexpected incident, a dent, quite literally, has exposed major flaws in the image of China's naval supremacy. This story is not just about one accident, but about what it reveals regarding the limitations, vulnerabilities, and long-term problems facing the People's Liberation Army Navy. So let's break down exactly what happened, what this dent means, and why it has sparked debates among military analysts worldwide. When people talk about China's military rise, the Navy usually takes center stage. Over the past 2 decades, Beijing has transformed from being a coastal defense force into a blue water navy capable of projecting power far beyond its shores. Its shipyards have been building destroyers, frigates, submarines, and carriers at a pace unmatched by any other nation. In raw numbers, China already has more warships than the United States, though not necessarily as advanced. The message has been clear: China wants to dominate the seas, particularly the South China Sea and the Western Pacific, and it wants the world to take notice. But here's the catch. Building ships fast does not necessarily mean building them well. Recently, one of China's most advanced destroyers suffered a highly embarrassing incident when a dent was spotted on its hull after a supposed minor accident. At first glance, you might think, so what, it's just a dent. Ships collide, mishaps happen. But the reaction to this event was far louder than the accident itself. Military experts began pointing out that the damage seemed disproportionate to the incident that caused it. Instead of being a minor scratch, the dent exposed weaknesses in the ship's structural strength, raising questions about the quality of Chinese naval construction. The dent became symbolic. If one bump could leave such a visible mark on a state-of-the-art warship, what would happen in actual combat when facing anti-ship missiles, torpedoes, or high-intensity naval warfare? This triggered a wave of discussions across defense communities. Analysts started questioning whether China's shipbuilding focus on speed and quantity had come at the expense of durability, survivability, and long-term reliability. A navy is not just about how many ships you can launch, it's about how battle-ready and resilient those ships are when it really matters. To understand why this is a big deal, we need to put it in context. Unlike the United States Navy, which has decades of combat experience, logistical networks, and tested war doctrines, China's navy is still relatively untested. Most of its large ships have never seen real combat. They look impressive in parades, exercises, and propaganda videos, but their actual performance under fire remains uncertain. A simple dent incident suddenly made that uncertainty very visible. Think about it, in wartime, even the smallest flaw can turn into a fatal vulnerability. Weak hull strength could mean ships are more vulnerable to enemy fire. Poor damage control training could mean a minor hit escalates into catastrophic failure. And when you scale this across a fleet that has been mass-produced in record time, the risks multiply. This brings us to another issue: the pace of China's naval expansion. Building ships so quickly is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it allows Beijing to showcase rapid growth and intimidate rivals. On the other hand, quality control can suffer when speed is prioritized over precision. Western experts have long warned that many of China's new warships might be suffering from rushed engineering, subpar materials, or design shortcuts. The dent incident seemed to validate those warnings. Beyond construction quality, there are also questions about crew training. The U.S. Navy spends enormous time and resources not only building ships but training sailors to handle crises, damage control, and extended deployments. China, however, has a navy that has grown faster than its pool of experienced sailors. Training lags behind hardware, and that imbalance could prove disastrous in conflict. A ship is only as strong as the crew operating it, and if a dent caused by a minor mishap is exposing flaws, then one can only imagine the chaos during live combat scenarios. What's more, this issue highlights a larger problem with China's military strategy: image versus reality. Beijing loves to project power, using military parades, propaganda videos, and flashy launches of new carriers to impress the world. But military strength is not about images, it's about resilience under pressure. The dent became a metaphor for the cracks in that carefully crafted image. Suddenly, the world saw that China's navy might be more fragile than it appears. Some analysts have compared this situation to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The USSR built a massive military arsenal that looked formidable on paper, but behind the numbers were issues of poor quality, logistical inefficiencies, and untested systems. When the Soviet Union eventually collapsed, much of its military power turned out to be more fragile than advertised. Now, many wonder if China might be heading down a similar path: lots of hardware, but questionable durability. Another point worth noting is how China responded to the incident. Instead of addressing concerns directly, state media downplayed the situation, treating it as irrelevant. But in the age of social media and open-source intelligence, images of the dent spread quickly, and outside experts began analyzing them in detail. This shows another weakness: China struggles to control the narrative when the evidence is so visible. The more it tries to dismiss such incidents, the more they fuel suspicion about what else might be wrong beneath the surface. Now let's zoom out to the geopolitical picture. China's naval buildup is aimed at challenging US dominance in the Pacific and asserting control over disputed waters like the South China Sea. But if its ships cannot withstand damage effectively, its ambitions face a serious roadblock. After all, naval warfare is not just about intimidation, it's about who can survive, adapt, and fight back under the most extreme conditions. A navy full of ships that dent easily or lack hardened resilience could falter in real conflict. The dent story may seem small in isolation, but it serves as a wake-up call. It tells us that rapid expansion does not equal invulnerability. It reminds us that beneath China's glittering naval parades lies an untested force still learning how to become a true global navy. And it shows us that even a single dent can unravel the illusion of perfection. In the coming years, China will continue to invest heavily in its naval power. It will launch more aircraft carriers, more destroyers, more submarines. But unless it addresses the underlying issues of quality control, crew training, and combat readiness, these ships might remain beautiful but brittle. The world will be watching closely, because in the high-stakes game of power projection, perception is everything. And once perception cracks, even a little, it can have massive consequences. So the next time you hear about China's navy being the largest in the world, remember this story. Remember that strength is not just about numbers, but about resilience, reliability, and readiness for real battle. A dent may seem small, but in this case, it exposed something much larger, a massive problem that Beijing cannot easily hide. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this deep dive and want to hear more breakdowns of global military and geopolitical stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for our next video where we'll continue to uncover the hidden truths behind the headlines.